A new study brings us one step closer to understanding how life survived the ice ages.
According to the research, geothermal areas like volcanoes were havens for life and acted as refuges for plants and animals. AUT Institute for Applied Ecology Director Steve Pointing is here to tell us more. Good morning, Steve.
Morning, Sasha. Mike.
Tell us a bit more about this study.
Yeah, it's a great study. It's a study that was led by an Australian team, but also with some Kiwi researchers. And essentially, it tries to address the paradox of why we have enormous biodiversity on Earth now, yet we've had ice ages that in theory should have wiped out a large part of that life. So what the study did was use Antarctica as a model system, because Antarctica has experienced a lot of glaciation, but also has a lot of volcanoes. And by modelling contemporary biodiversity around volcanoes and away from volcanoes, they were able to conclude that actually they acted as little sort of sanctuaries for life during ice ages, and subsequent to the ice melting, that life could then radiate out again and recolonize areas that were previously frozen.
So what significance can we draw from that?
Well, significance in terms of understanding biodiversity is one thing, but it actually has interesting applications on a global level, because it has a parallel to understanding how life has radiated out from the tropics to colonize our Earth. So in many ways, the model that was formed from this actually has global application.
Now, if we go on to climate change and its impact on reef fish, who don't seem to be frightened of predators.
Yes, this is quite a worrying story. It's a really good example of how the impacts of climate change are pretty much unpredictable in many cases. So essentially, we all know that climate change is caused by gases being released to the atmosphere, such as carbon dioxide, and much of that gas gets absorbed into the oceans. And just like with fizzy drinks, as you absorb carbon dioxide into water, it becomes acidic. So the oceans are actually predicted to become more acidic as climate change continues. While rather worryingly, what's happening is juvenile fish are having their behaviour altered to the extent that they're becoming much more bold. They're venturing out from their shelter in the coral reef out into the open water, where they're obviously being picked off. And even more of a concern, some species are actually being attracted to the odour of predators. So this has a very worrying implication, not only for conservation but also for fisheries, because of course many of the commercially important fish that we rely on actually have a nursery stage in these coral reefs.
So what does it indicate, is the future of our coral reef fish?
Well, it's not good, is it? I mean, putting yourself on a plate in front of predators is never a good thing, but there's also an additional problem here in that the coral reef itself is not being helped by this situation, in that the acidic water is actually affecting the ability of reefs to form as well. So, we may be looking at a double whammy here of negative impacts.
Finally, it seems like we're on our way to causing the first primate extinction.
Yeah, not something to be proud of,
no.
Really, not at all. It would be very worrying if this happened. Essentially on Hainan Island, which is in the South China Sea, just west of Hong Kong, there lives the Hainan gibbon, rather aptly named. It's been estimated there are probably less than 25 left. And more worryingly, they've only got about 20 square kilometres of habitat left. So these creatures are in extremely imperiled state. And the reason I highlighted this was because a population viability analysis has just been instigated, where scientists are going to look at reproductive capability of natural predator threats and also their genetics, to understand how, with this greatly reduced population, are these gibbons even capable of producing healthy offspring. So it's really not an optimistic prognosis at all.
And it's an area of massive economic growth. Is that the key, that just the forests?
Unfortunately, yes. I mean,
chopped down?
Yeah, of course, you've hit the nail on the head. China has undergone massive and rapid industrialization, and Hainan Island in particular, from industry and also from tourism, has been dramatically altered. And the worry, of course, is that it will go the same way as, say, the Yangtze River dolphin, which became functionally extinct in 2007. So the Chinese authorities are very keen not to have another smirch on their name with this. So hopefully they'll step up and make every effort.
He is hoping. Steve Pointing, thanks for coming in, AUT.
Thank you.